En nuestra posteridad hay prosperidad. Dios busca una cultura y generación dispuesta a traer conciencia a los perdidos, cansados y quebrantados de corazón. ¿Harás brillar tu fe en medio de un mundo caído? Mientras nos acercamos más que nunca a la segunda venida de nuestro Señor y Salvador Jesucristo, en tiempos de desesperación y confusión, hagamos sonar juntos la alarma. Y ahora con ustedes, Pablo Silvia.
Welcome, brothers and sisters, and to all my podcast hearers and audience. God bless you all. Hope everybody's having a splendid day and week. And well, today our conversation is going to be very interesting, special. Just the simple fact that I'm in front of a beautiful group that ministers in Llamada Final Central called J21. Most of you probably have heard of the group. They are the youth band of the ministry. And well, today we just had lunch, I assume, and our bellies are full, and we're going to endeavor in a conversation, not so formal, right, guys? Something very simplistic but effective. And with that being said, I want to give now the time to nuestro hermano JP, Jose Pablo, and from there, brother, you take over.
Bueno, muchas gracias por la invitación. Nos sentimos muy bendecidos de estar aquí con ustedes porque en verdad Llamada Final los ha enseñado, por medio del Señor, nos ha enseñado a ser una familia. Y por el culto de hoy, está hablando de la familia, en pocas palabras, está hablando de la familia, de cómo crear nuestros hijos, pero también las experiencias que tenemos de tener en este momento con el Señor, que nos va a ayudar a enseñar a la próxima generación, porque lo que estamos viendo alrededor de nosotros somos jóvenes, pero ellos también van a tener hijos, y ellos van a tener que enseñarles, o estos momentos que estamos compartiendo ahorita, ellos le van a enseñar a sus hijos, y es una gran bendición, y lo que hacemos una vez al mes, llamamos J21 Harvest.
Okay, so I'm going to label it then, that way. Once it's uploaded on the podcast, J21 Harvest, episode 1, or season 1. All right.
So what we do in J21 Harvest is compartimos lo que recibimos el culto de domingo, en el domingo que fue hoy, con nuestro apóstol Otto. And we break it down into pieces and how we can apply that. Pero que también eso ayuda por estar en un solo pensamiento y estar en la misma meta y en los mismos caminos de todos, porque también es una bendición y esto viene de Dios. J21 Harvest es un grupo de jóvenes que tienen hambre de la
¿Quién
palabra.
le puso el nombre Harvest? J21 Harvest? Oh, okay. The author itself, right? Okay.
Yeah. Pero esta es nuestra segunda vez, and we did not expect this at all to have recording with everybody.
But right, the surprises are always good, right? When it's unplanned, las sorpresas salen mejores.
Y la idea que es vamos con 2 de Corintios 9, 10 a 12.
Okay.
Es del buen pan. Y quería pedirte, Pablo, que lo leas por nosotros. Aquí está el texto, 2 de Corintios 10 a 12.
In English, right? In English?
Or either Spanish, both there.
Del 10 al 12?
Ajá.
Ok, en español dice lo siguiente. 2 Corintios 9, capítulo 9, verso 10. Y el que suministra semilla al sembrador y pan para su alimento, suplirá y multiplicará vuestra sementera y aumentará la siega de vuestra justicia. Seréis enriquecidos en todo para toda liberalidad, la cual por medio de nosotros produce acción de gracias a Dios. Para la administración de este servicio no solo suple con plenitud lo que falta a los santos, sino también sobreabunda a través de muchas acciones de gracias a Dios.
Ese es el texto que me dio el Señor para J21 Harvest.
Nice, qué bonito.
Es un acuerdo que es una promesa del Señor para nosotros, el buen pan. El Señor es el buen pan. Y nosotros vamos a ser sembradores. No también aquí en esta mesa, pero los demás jóvenes que no han encontrado un grupo también. Sí. Y ahí entra la juventud de Llamada Final. creo que también en este grupo también vamos a animar aún más a que vengan a los jóvenes. Y como nuestro apóstol dijo hoy de la vida de Timoteo, ¿verdad? Está hablando de la vida de Timoteo, que vino de dos culturas, de Greek and Jewish. Imagínate la pelea, la pelea de los padres, like, no, yo quiero que venga a mi iglesia, no, yo quiero que venga a mi iglesia, no, yo quiero que coma mi comida, no, yo no quiero que coma este día, porque este día estamos celebrando las celebraciones de judíos. So, ahí había un how do you say a collapse? Like
a gridlock. Había, pues sí, había tension. That's the word.
Exactly. Y porque, pues a veces unos hombres pueden ser orgullosos, no se dejan, no se va a dejar. Pero ahí ves qué poderosa es la semilla del Señor, que cortó con esa religión de la parte de su papá. Y Timoteo, su mamá le sembró la semilla. Y después llegó un mayor maestro que era Pablo. Imagínate,
así es.
Esa semilla se quedó ahí, pero Pablo empezó a mojar, a darle agua, a darle de comer. ¿Y tú qué piensas de eso, Pablo?
Yo les voy a decir algo. Hay dos cosas muy interesantes que quiero tocar con ustedes. En primer lugar, estoy convencido de que el grupo J21 viene del Señor. En primer lugar, no solo porque el nombre salió de los labios de nuestro apóstol. He's the one that actually labeled that name for the youth group, J21. Yeah. Nuestro padre en la fe lo tituló de esa manera. Pero yo me he dado cuenta que este grupo ha sido de mucha bendición para todas las generaciones que antes estaban. Es un grupo que ha sido trascendencial o trascendente en la palabra, donde en la etapa donde muchos Dios los sacó, se involucraron y de aquí escalaron para aún mayores responsabilidades y compromisos con Dios. Y honestamente, los que yo veo aquí ahora, the faces that I see here, pretty much everyone's new here. I came out of J21 too, believe it or not. En mi adolescencia yo estaba en el grupo juvenil. Estuve por varios años. Entonces yo les puedo mencionar nombres, personas. En este caso ustedes saben de David, de Nancy. We all started there. We all started in this group. Y ahora pues estamos ya desenvolviéndonos en otras áreas del ministerio. Pero viéndolos a ustedes, a mí me da la impresión, lo que tú acabas de mencionar, y es la evidencia total de que la oración de sus padres ha hecho que ustedes estén hoy presentes. Because if God was not to be involved in this, in this gathering, and you being present today, maybe the main question is, o la pregunta que nos tenemos que decir, ¿dónde estaríamos hoy si Dios no estuviera con nosotros? What would Emily be doing? What was your name again? Isai be doing. What would Daniel be doing? Uli be doing. Liz, Liza, every one of us. Si Dios no estuviera en este asunto. Entonces el hecho de que ustedes que acaban de salir de un servicio glorioso y aparte que están involucrados en la obra del Señor y poder platicar hoy en este día, evidencia de que la semilla de fe, la semilla de la piedad está con ustedes. Entonces es uno. Segundo, ya se me fue el segundo pensamiento. Pero hablando de lo que es recibir la fe de nuestros padres, eso es crucial. Ustedes están en una línea de transición donde el tiempo que ustedes tienen para invertir en el Señor en J21, aprovechenlo, muchachos. Aprovechenlo ahora que puedan. Yo no voy a decir de que cuando ya entren a un matrimonio formal, etcétera, no van a disfrutar del Señor. Sí lo van a disfrutar, pero hay una gran diferencia del soltero al casado. Una gran ventaja de que el soltero, su enfoque ahorita es agradarle a Dios en todo. Y ya cuando uno entra en un matrimonio conyugal como mi esposa y yo, la Biblia lo dice, ahora los intereses se dividen de cómo seguir agradando a Dios, pero también cómo agradar a la persona que ahora ya compartas un pacto matrimonial. Las cosas se comienzan a ajustar para bien y no para mal, para aclarar eso. Pero ahora ustedes que están en esa etapa, disfruten. Yo les felicito last week, la confraternidad. The majority of all of you, I would say everyone here, todos los que estamos acá, se involucraron. Y aunque mi participación fue nomás el día viernes, que lo hice con mucho gozo, con mucho amor, yo me gocé más viéndolos a ustedes. And I go, wow, like the church is going to another season, another level. Y la verdad, somos los hijos en la fe que debemos de continuar y somos la retaguardia de we got to push this forward towards the future. Queda en nosotros si queremos o no. Aunque me da la impresión que sí quieren porque estamos acá hoy reunidos en esta tarde. Taking it back to JP.
Sí, y lo que me estoy dando cuenta que esta palabra sé que es del Señor, hablar de Timoteo, porque también puedes ver Timoteo, su mamá le sembró la semilla y fue adoptado por Pablo. So ahí vamos todos nosotros, venimos de diferentes lugares. Unos, sus mamás servían en llamada final en Mujerse Libre. Aquí ven mujeres, inspiración. Somos de la segunda generación.
I don't want to say how old I am, pero yo recuerdo cuando nació Liza. Yo digo que I don't want to say how old I am, pero yo recuerdo cuando nació Liza. Y ahora viéndola de lleno en la hora del Señor, that's inspiring. Not just for me, but for many of those in your generation and the ones to come. Y también todos ustedes que han estado de llenos en el ministerio.
Sí, y como Alex, his mom was in Mujerse Libre.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Liza, her mom is in Mujerse Libre. Isaiah her parents are in the kids department.
¿Quiénes son tus padres?
Juan Carlos y Mario Lucas.
Creo que sí los identifico, sí.
Coordinators.
What a small world, okay. Wow, what a small world.
Y también Ceci, su mamá la instruyó también en la palabra del Señor.
Pues ya en la adolescencia, más que nada, no tanto en la niñez, pero en la niñez aún siempre uno puede enseñarle cosas buenas a sus hijos, igual malas, ¿no? Por testimonio, pero puedo decir que lo que me han inculcado mis padres hasta el día de hoy quiero honrar. Sea la cultura de México, porque allá nací y allá me crecí, ¿no? Pero ya llegando acá, pues puedo decir que esos detallitos yo sigo tratando de inculcarle ahora a mis hijos, pero en Cristo.
Sí, pero también yo entiendo que no todos sus padres no están sirviendo.
Sí, claro.
Pero ahí viene la parte de Pablo, que fueron adoptados. Timoteo fue adoptado por Pablo. Solo que está diciendo la palabra, hay un lugar para todos en la iglesia.
Sí,
para los
sí.
que no vienen con madres o padres que les enseñaron los caminos del Señor. Aquí hay alguien que se llama Jesús que los adoptó. A Timoteo, Pablo lo adoptó y le instruyó más y fue un gran discípulo.
Yo les quiero decir algo sobre esto. Porque hay una gran diferencia en ser un hijo en la fe y ser un miembro de la iglesia o congregante. Los hijos en la fe adaptan, reciben la visión, aman la visión y se desarrollan en la visión. In other words, through thick or thin, whatever the season you might all go to, as long as the love of God is there and the vision and the cause for it, van a perseverar, van a triunfar. Y ahí es donde se ve la diferencia de los que son hijos en la fe y uno que solo se congrega porque no tiene mayor compromiso que solo llegar a congregarse el domingo y ahí queda. Pero ustedes han aceptado la visión y son parte de ese equipo de la logística que en las buenas y en las malas, ahí seguimos y nos ayudamos entre todos para salir adelante. Eso es lo que instituye un verdadero hijo en la fe, que recibe la doctrina, la visión, la misma apertura apostólica y lo pone en obra. Así se identifican los hijos en la fe. Y bíblicamente lo que tú acabas de mencionar, Pablo tuvo muchos, pero la mayoría lo abandonaron. Y el único que quedó, lo que nuestro padre en la fe comentó, nuestro pastor, solo quedó Timoteo. Por eso dijo, él sí es un verdadero hijo en la fe. So it's a whole different ballgame. It's a different perspective. Yo les voy a decir, yo vengo, I'm not that old, but I'm kind of old already. Pero yo me acuerdo en mi adolescencia, en mi generación, yo conviví con un grupo de jóvenes que yo diría que menos de la mitad realmente fueron a otro nivel con Dios. Y los demás quedaron cortos. Los demás renunciaron su fe. Algunos tienen una vida inmoral, literalmente inmoral. Yo digo, Señor, si estos jóvenes, y algunos que probablemente comenzaron con J21, estos jóvenes andaban avivados en el Espíritu, tenían dones del Espíritu Santo, y ahora nada que ver, nada que ver. Conozco a unos jóvenes que daban palabra profética a la congregación, no a un culto de jóvenes, a la congregación. Tenía 17 años, 18 años. Ahora este individuo, obviamente no vamos a decir nombres por respeto y por, out of respect, pero ahora es un homosexual. Son cosas que digo, tenemos que perseverar en la fe. Yo lo viví en mi generación y he visto muchas generaciones venir y pasar, algunos para bien y otros para mal.
Sí, iba con el texto de Deuteronomio 4:19.
Ajá.
Dice, por tanto, cuídate y guárdate tu alma con diligencia para que no te olvides de las cosas que tus ojos han visto y no se aparten de tu corazón todos los días de tu vida, sino que las hagas saber a tus hijos y a tus nietos.
Wow.
So, está escrito un map, literal, un map. Cómo guardar tu corazón, cómo cuidarte, cómo preparar la siguiente generación.
Está todo escrito, las instrucciones.
Exactamente. Las instrucciones.
Mira los tiempos que estamos viviendo. Senior pastor mentioned it today in the morning. Jóvenes, ¿se quieren casar? Sí. Y si quieren tener hijos, piénselo bien, porque es una gran responsabilidad, especialmente en los tiempos que estamos viviendo. Mi esposa y yo tenemos a nuestros dos pequeños. Estamos conscientes de los tiempos que estamos viviendo, y mi esposa y yo somos como, ¿cómo decir? Cualquier cosa, cualquier ideología, cualquier persona que trate de manipular a nuestros hijos, ahí va a salir el león mío y aún la leona de ella, ¿verdad? Porque queremos protegerlos, cuidarlos. And it's a lot of work. To be honest, when you have kids, it's a lot of work. Te cambia la vida. I mean, your life changes for good. But, the work that you need to put, es desafiante, no es imposible, pero it's part of being a dad and a mom for the generation that's to come.
Pero sí les aconsejo, tengan hijos.
Sí, eso sí, yes. Thank you, sí.
Be fruitful and multiply.
Pero es bonito tener la familia. Yo soy muy de familia.
Y también se me vino el pensamiento que sí hay muchos que se han ido. Hemos visto muchos, hasta los que pensamos que siempre van a estar en la casa.
Según.
Según. Pero te preguntas, y no quiero juzgar al público, nadie, no estoy juzgando, pero ¿se llamaron cristianos verdaderos? Porque el cristiano verdadero se queda o regresa como el hijo pródigo.
Mira, el que es hijo en la fe, verdaderamente hijo, regresa. Y el que no fue hijo en la fe, don't expect them to come back. Their life was just a rendezvous. They came temporarily for a moment, for a season, and then they drifted away. Silvia, dilo.
Sí.
Quiero nada más agregar una nota a lo que estábamos platicando desde el comienzo acerca de la abuela y la mamá de Timoteo.
Loida y Eunice.
Exactamente, que ellas fueron las que transmitieron la fe a su hijo. Yo quiero comentarles que alguien aquí está escuchándonos y es primera generación y que estás enamorada del Señor, qué hermoso es que tú seas esa primera generación, que tú puedas plantar esa semilla en tus generaciones. Entonces sí es muy bonito, y a mí me hubiera gustado tener una mamá que yo sé que viene el conocimiento del Señor pronto, pero yo no tuve esa enseñanza desde pequeña. Pero ahora que estoy en vísperas a ser madre, pues digo, wow. Claro, mi esposo ya viene con el linaje, ¿verdad? Pero yo
con
¿qué
la
voy
formación.
a hacer con la formación? Pero yo voy a a ser la primera en mi familia que va a depositar esa semilla de fe en mi familia, y eso también es muy hermoso.
Sí, así es. Yo digo, en las cosas del Señor nunca es tarde. En las cosas del Señor el tiempo llega al tiempo indicado y adecuado para todos nosotros. Y quería preguntarles también a ustedes. Let's open up the microphone here.
Yeah.
Any comments, questions, algunas inquietudes, sugerencias que quieran aportar? Okay, Ulises, there we go.
Quería comentar también lo que yo he visto. Yo siendo hijo de una madre que me ha introduced al Señor, ¿verdad? To God.
Yeah.
And seeing that, you know, not being judgmental, obviously, but seeing that not come from my father's side, it's very interesting to see how we all grew up as siblings.
Oh wow!
It's very interesting, you know. So I just what you were saying on how it's important to kind of give that seed early on, porque si no they're lost.
Yeah.
Right. So it's very important maybe to see if maybe your older brother or older sibling can also pass that on as well. You know?
That's a good question. Sí, porque bíblicamente la Biblia menciona que fue a través de la madre de Timoteo, su abuela, que él recibió la fe. Bíblicamente es lo que vemos solo en las escrituras. Pero yo no quiero descartar, I don't want to disregard the circumstances where maybe the parents are not in the faith, but the siblings are. And in this case, in most cases, you see a lot of siblings, older siblings, that take the role of a father figure or a mother figure at certain times porque en la casa, en el hogar, el que es según cabeza quedó descabezado. Y eso se ve mucho en nuestra sociedad. So going back to your question, Uli, I think that will be a valid position that God will honor and consider, knowing that, well, okay, if my parents are not in the faith, but if one of my siblings is older or younger, hey, then I could receive and feed on to that faith that he or she has. Yeah. Wow, good question. Buena pregunta. ¿Alguien más?
Well, what I got from this preaching was that to honor my parents, because I had the blessing, and I'm not saying that it's anything bad, but I had the blessing of having, you know, both my father and my mother in the faith. So desde chiquita, you know, I've been since Inglewood, you know, I've been there going to everything, you know, me han enseñado, me han instruido. And when I was just hearing, you know, Pastor talk about the responsibility that our fathers and our mothers have with us, I was just like, wow. Because, you know, as a kid, you know, you rebel and you're like, oh, why does my mom have to say this? Why does she have to take me to church? You know, it's so wrong, whatever, this and this and this and that. And you don't really realize, like, how much work they put in and the huge responsibility of guiding us in God's path. So that's what I took from the preaching, like to honor your parents, honor your father and your mother.
Yeah, times are tough, guys. I think you all have seen it. Ustedes lo han visto. Isaiah, the book of Isaiah says, lo que antes era considerado bueno, ahora es malo. Y lo que es malo, ahora es bueno. Un ejemplo, very short example. The movie of Super Mario Bros. Just came out, right?
Yeah.
Dicen que es sano, it's a clean movie, but that in Hollywood, they're bashing on it. Just because there is no LGBT content. So they're just trying to bring the ratings down, discourage people not to go watch it. Digo, ¿cómo es que atacan algo sano, algo limpio? Y son los tiempos que estamos viviendo.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture. Yes. Well, you know, cancel culture and also that organization, se llevan de la mano. Entonces, that liberal worldview, it's trying to harass. You know.
I wanted to mention also that there's an actor that I was really excited to watch. Hermano iba a decir. El que sale de la momia, ¿verdad?
Oh, the mom,
Le dije a mi esposo, estoy tan emocionada. Ya, Brandon Fraser.
Oh, Brandon Fraser, yeah.
Wow, estoy tan emocionada. Es un actor de mi niñez. Va a empezar otra vez a hacer películas. Hay que ver qué película sacó el Oscar. Y, by the way, ¿cómo watch The Whale?
Supposedly, Oscar nominee, no sé qué.
Oh man.
Despicable.
Pero todo
Despicable.
sale porque a lo malo le dicen bueno y a lo bueno le
Yeah.
dicen malo. Entonces, nosotros lo vimos mal, pero Hollywood dice no, se ganó el Oscar. Y he's we have to be aware of the times that we're living and not believe everything we hear.
Yeah.
That is good.
And it's really hard because, especially here in California, like liberal is like super heavy here, and like in school, like when I just got out of high school. I'm not, but
you're up to speed with the curriculum in California.
Yeah, and so it's just been like crazy because I had a what was she called? Where they call themselves they and them? Queer. Queer. She was queer, but she's biologically a woman. And I had her as an art teacher. And in December, I didn't know, but in December it's kind of like the HIV kind of movement-ish. So for one of our projects, we had to choose someone of the LGBTQ who was like famous and like paint something or do an art something to honor them.
To honor them, right.
And like in my school, I don't know about now, but in my time, in that time, like 2 years ago, they were very like, if you're religious, that's fine, this and this. They backed it up. I don't know about now, but back then they did. And so I, went to talk to my teacher and I told her like, I can't do this, it's against my faith. Is there something else that I can do? And she's like, okay, that's fine. Like you can just do a presentation about what AIDS and HIV Awareness Month is. I was like, okay, I can do that. And so how this classroom worked was that she gave us an assignment on Monday and we had to turn it in on Friday. So that week on Thursday, I had finished my thing, so I was, going on my phone, having free time or whatever. And then she comes up to me and she's like, what are you doing? Why aren't you working on your project? Like, I don't see any painting or nothing. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you told me to do a presentation about it. And she was like, no, you have to do the project. If not, you fail it. And I was like, wow. So I ended up not doing anything and I failed,
Amen. I'm glad. No, pero that's the thing though. There's going to be challenges in our lives where we're going to be held up to the knife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where we're going to say, ¿estamos con Dios o estamos contra Él? You know? And even if we're scared, even if we're afraid to give up our jobs, we need to.
Yeah.
Because even if we lose our jobs, God will always provide.
Yeah, exactly.
And when we ask, He provides. So we shouldn't be scared to.
Yeah. No, and it was something really crazy too because for that particular class that year they were changing the schedule. So for like one semester we had a substitute and I love that substitute. She was amazing. But then the last semester they were bringing in teachers, right? And so in my class they brought in that teacher. But when she walked past me, it was like something wasn't right. And I didn't know, I didn't know she was part of the LGBTQ. I didn't know. And I turned to my friend too and I told her, I was like, if she's a teacher, this is not going to be good. Like there's something, I was like, I don't know if it's the way she's teaching or I don't know, but there's something really bad. And then that next week, when she said that she was part of the LGBTQ, I was like, wow. I was like, no wonder. So desde ahí, like, it was just a constant. And whenever I would talk about God in that class, she told me one time, she was like, oh, you know what? It's fine. I'm going to go to hell anyways. And I was like, wow. I was like, wow, oh my God.
I'm going to go to hell anyway. Got it?
Yeah, we have a verse just for that, what Liza was saying. We had a verse.
Read it out, Daniel.
Read that one.
Behold, children are the gifts of the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward like arrows in the hand of a warrior. So are the children of one's youth. How blessed is the man who quivers is full of them. They will not be ashamed when they speak with their enemies in the gates.
Amen.
Yeah, amen.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's almost. Wow, Liza, you saw some raw stuff there. Reality TV moments.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Se necesita gente como Liza, que fue criada, fue en el Evangelio, fue instruida. Es importante criar cuando tengan hijos, criarlos en la fe para contender en contra de esas creencias y no caer bajo sumisión de ese tipo de espíritus. They're after you, they're after our children. So we need to be strong.
Yeah, and that was, I was gonna actually bring us to that point because it was mostly my dad because my dad, he was in Oblevis and stuff like that, so I always asked him. But if it weren't for him and my mom's like enseñanzas and them telling me what's wrong and what's right, I would have just been like, okay, I'll do the project, just to not fail, So like going back to what Pastor was talking about in the morning, like it just made me think about those moments and other times. Like man, like if I didn't have the parents that I have, where would I have been? Yeah.
Increíble. What a moment of silence. Huh?
The parents nowadays want to choose the gender of their babies.
Yeah.
The 18-month-old baby that was supposed to be a male, they're like, he's playing with my daughter's dolls. I think it's a she. So they changed the sex of the baby.
Yeah.
Y también hay muchos cristianos casándose con esos tipos de gente.
Cuéntale del artículo que me mencionaste, some state that they're prosecuting parents
The state of
behind bars.
Washington passed a bill that they allow for the state to take away your children in case you don't want to change the gender of your kids.
Wow.
A ese punto estamos llegando.
Wow.
The state of Washington. They want to take away your children.
Es por eso que no debemos de mezclar el mismo yugo.
Yeah.
Porque ahí, si te casas con una persona, un cristiano se casa con alguien como el que está hablándose así, ¿cómo va a llegar a los pies de esos niños? Por eso tenemos que cuidar con quien nos juntamos.
Sí, Pablo menciona en los Corintios el yugo desigual y nos confronta diciendo, ¿vamos a servirle a Dios o a Baal o Bilial, otra versión? We cannot be in a shady gray area. It's either white or black.
Yeah.
There's no gray area. Pues sad to say, se ha integrado eso, and it's leading so much deception and falsehood to our generation, y nuestra generación de hoy. Yo por eso yo estoy admirado de que hoy tomaron la iniciativa de juntarse hoy y poder platicar de eso porque I mean, Les, thank you for this place. This is a beautiful place here. I mean, it's beautiful and there's so much distraction here, entertainment. But nevertheless, pues nos juntamos entre todos nosotros para poder discutir y platicar sobre esto y entender de que los tiempos se van a empeorar más y tenemos que contender, the Bible says in Jude chapter 1 verse 3, contender ardientemente por la fe. What does that mean? We need to know how to defend our faith, defenderla. Y lamentablemente hay muchos jóvenes que quieren defenderla, tienen la pasión de defender a Dios, pero a veces no tienen las herramientas o las tácticas o el método de cómo defender nuestra fe. O el carácter.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? ¿Alguien más? I see three gentlemen, they're very quiet. Listen.
Me gustaría
No, Daniel, thank you.
Mike is yours.
Yeah, I like to. I don't know the verse, but it's that we're in this world, but we're not of this world. And I mean, I grew up in a Christian household, and my parents, mostly my mother, from my mother's side, they've been teaching me, reading scriptures and then giving our daily prayers, whether in the morning or at night before we sleep, like brushing our teeth. But it's that seed that my mom planted in me. I didn't understand it. Maybe during high school or around that time, I really didn't understand it. Maybe I went to church. Maybe I went to the services, but I didn't really fully understand. And it was just my experience. It was during COVID where I had no one around me, and it was just the Lord just isolated me. And that's when he brought me more understanding, and now I truly understand everything. and it just opens once you fully understand, because there are people who go to church, but there are also people who are actually of the spirit, who actually understand, and like when they hear the word, when they read the scripture, they actually understand, and when they pray, they know what they're praying. Like even when you're
What a good comparison of it.
even when you're worshiping, you're not just like singing, you're like you literally understand the words,
Yeah.
and
You
like
know what you're saying, what you're doing, what you're receiving. As
yeah,
well.
you receive. And with that, I don't know what you call it, like unción, or just like
Anointing.
Yeah.
It's just, it just opens your eyes, and then you could see the corruption around this world. And for a while, I was a little concerned about myself. And my mother always prays. She always tells me, like, guárdate, hijo, because there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of bad things in this world. And I used to have this one job. I was a videographer for this. My boss, he was like a corporate guy, but he like es del mundo,
Too secular.
Yeah, he's too secular, And I would my job was just to basically like film whatever content he needs, and then also edit it. But just like hanging around, like maybe the pay was good, maybe they were fun, but it was just my spirit didn't feel like right in there. It didn't feel right, and it was just like the more it was taking me away from the gospel, like it's like I was starting to give less time to the Lord. Like I would come home from work, and I would just be like, I'm tired. I already have homework to do, and then with that, like I wouldn't even have time to read the Bible. But one day I prayed to the Lord, and I was like, if this is of yours, then it was a door you open. But if it's not of yours, like, please take me away. Because like I know that it says that we fight the good fight, but there's also another part where it says we should flee from
Huir de la tentación.
yeah, from temptations or even youthful lust, all of it. And from my job, they ended up in a couple weeks. They ended up telling me like, hey, we're gonna give you like a contract now, like where it's instead of like you're doing full time, it's like it's optional for you to like come work with us. We'll tell you the events. But from that, I just me dejé. Like I like, because I knew like that was from you, Lord. And then like for a couple of weeks, I had like no work, nothing at all, but I just kept praying reverently in the Lord. I'm like, God, like I know the provision comes from you. Like even though I gotta pay the car like in a couple of weeks, I know like I depend on you. My faith is in you, not by what I see or what I hear, but what I know. And that is your words. That is in you. And
Amazing.
And then God opened the door. He opened the door, and now I'm working closely with you guys. And yeah, but one day my mom, she come up to me, and she just told me like, I don't know where, like she like I don't know, like she didn't know my situation, like what was going on, but she just told me like, I don't know, but in my heart I just want to say like I'm really proud of you.
A mother
Because
always-
like
Hijo,
like,
estoy contento, orgulloso
yeah,
de ti.
orgulloso, but like, and she was like saying like she made it clear like it's not because of my job, it's not because like how hard I work, it's just because like that seed that she planted in me, like it grew into like a good fruit. Like I'm the man, It's just,
I'm the man now.
but I want to go back to I forgot which part on the preaching, but it was the pastor was talking about how for a man his responsibility is to be the head of the household. He's supposed to lead his house to the gospel, to the words of God, and it kind of hit me. I mean, maybe I'm 20, but I know in the future like I'm gonna be a father, and it just put me in my heart, the same way my parents were with me. I had to be the same, and just plant that seed. But that's also for me. I have to be an example for my children. I have to be an example for everyone else, not just through my words or because a child really looks up to his parents. They see what they do, how they act, what they speak, and like they say, like the child reflects the parent. So that's also a duty on me in the future, that I need to be an example, be the light for my children, both for the Lord, for the people who don't know, but also for the children.
I wish many 20-year-olds would have that mindset you have.
Yeah, that's so true.
And it's wow, Daniel. So God has spoken to you at one point in your life, or is it a desire in your heart to enter the prophetic field?
I don't know how
or
to
you
explain
just know
it.
in your
I just
spirit.
I don't know. Like there are times when like brothers will come up to me and they'll tell me, or I'll literally just be driving. Maybe I'm listening to a worship song, and I was singing along to it, but then the Lord just like puts like words in my heart. Like I don't know. It's like I don't. My parents always ask me. Well, my mom always asks me like, oh, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a preacher, a prophet, an apostle, or? But I always tell like I really don't know. I like anywhere like the Lord puts me. Like even if He puts me scrubbing toilets, I'll be the best person to scrub toilets. Yeah, but again, it's just like I might make my own plans, but the Lord, He's the one who sets my path.
Yeah.
So for a while, I want to go back to the job part.
Yeah.
For a while, I had that mindset of just worrying about money, because like I have to provide. I have to provide for the family, and that worried a lot for me. But I mean, one day I just like I surrendered to the Lord, just like completely, because I know when people say like my life is for the Lord. People don't really understand it. Like they literally give
everything.
You literally give everything, like my life, everything. Like I'm not just saying like, oh, I'll just visit you like on Fridays and Sundays, but no, like I give you myself. I give you everything.
You make a covenant with God.
A covenant with God. And then from there, it's like He closes doors. That's also to test your faith, but He also eventually opens doors, and He brings something much bigger than yourself. Something you couldn't even imagine. But I always want to make my parents proud, but most of all, I want to make my celestial Father proud.
Yeah.
That's the one that matters.
Acuérdate que ese mandamiento, obedecer a nuestros padres para que nos vaya bien en la vida, para que nuestra vida sea prolongada de bienes. Es un mandamiento con promesa.
Yeah.
So in your case, you're putting yourself in a win-win scenario, where yes, you're honoring God above all else, but you're also honoring your authorities, who happens to be your parents. And so your future is bright, my brother.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, you're in the right path. And at the age that you're in, 20 years old. Man, you're at your prime. And stay in that prime with God. Yeah. Oh, Daniel.
But yeah,
Another amazing testimony.
Yeah.
You were going to say something else?
No. I'm just. I lost the thought.
I think we're on this all moments. Se siente la presencia de Dios aquí con nosotros. Anyone else, Charles? Oh yeah, right here. Alex.
So, my story is that I remember when church first started, I remember I used to go only for the kids thing. I thought, there's snacks there and everything like that. So I would only go for the snacks mostly. And then that was Inglewood, and then when it happened in Downey, I remember there was a point in my life where I didn't like going anymore.
Really?
Yeah. You know my mom, right?
Sí, claro.
Yeah. So I would always get mad at her. I would get mad at her for even, I would sleep in the services, and I joined the kids department. And if I'm being honest with you, that was the only time where I was happy there.
In the children's ministry?
In the children's department.
Because you were not in the main temple.
So this happened for about 3 years. I think I was like 12, maybe to like 15.
Okay.
Yeah. I hated going. And I would sleep, yeah.
Was it just you, Alex, or your brother too?
It was my brother too, mostly, yeah. Well, yeah, but...
No, I just threw it out there because I wasn't sure if it was like a dual thing.
The only ones who were like in it were my mom and my sister. You know my sister?
Your sister? Yeah.
Yeah, Yesenia. And then she had joined the media and everything like that.
I remember, yeah. That was in 2012.
Yeah.
I'm old.
So yeah, I would sleep in the services, and when the kids come, I was like so happy. I was like, I'm not gonna be in the temple. But then there came another time. It was one of the Mujeres Libre services when it was on Thursdays.
Yeah. Thursday mornings.
Yeah, Thursday mornings. Yeah. And I believe it was Claudia. She was like ministrando and everything. And she called up all the jóvenes. And usually on Thursdays, I would go to the library just to read the little books they have. But this time I stayed. And she called up all the jóvenes. And she looked at me. She was like, "Tu hijo, tú vas a ser un pastor." And me being little, I'm like, "Oh, cool." Like I didn't.
Okay, great. It was irrelevant.
Like I didn't really understand it. But then, yeah, during COVID, I think that's when the Lord really spoke to me, because it was obviously during online services. That's when the Lord really spoke to me, because that's when I started really getting into the Word. And then recently, I've been like regrouping with Isai and Emily and Japhet, and we've been just starting reading the Word a lot. And I feel like the Lord is bringing us together now, like because now we're just spreading the Word now. That's our plan. That's what we have to do.
So the fire is there, the passion is there, and you've seen the change in your life personally. What does your mom say about that?
My mom questioned it, and if I'm being honest, I didn't know how to answer her.
Fair enough.
It was just like the Lord changed me. Like it's a big change.
But now over time, she could now say, "Oh yeah, my son was transformed."
Yeah.
Even Danny noticed it too. He was like, I've been noticing you've been getting more into the Word now. I'm like, yeah, like.
Es que se nota también, like cuando estás en Dios, like the Word says that we are light, and when we start, getting into that, and we start, what's the word? We start getting into it more and more and more. We're more light. We're more and more and more light. And wherever we go, I mean, people are gonna notice. Like just like that teacher, I knew something wasn't like. I knew
adding up.
Yeah. So that's honestly like, wow. That's beautiful.
Actually, I want to touch on what Alex said.
Please.
It's a lot of the things we teach and a lot of the things that influence us. I used to be a teacher for the kids, and I remember there was a time when I used to be in the kids department when I was when they used to teach me, like the same hermanos, and a lot of the time they would teach in a way that I wouldn't be able to understand, because they taught like in a way like for adults, but like I'm a kid, I really don't understand. And maybe from that experience wasn't meant for me to be a teacher, but it was meant for me to like understand that influence is like a great thing. Like people, I like this whole thing, like youth congregating together. That's a really like important thing, because maybe someone like from an older generation might try to teach you, but like, oh, he's from a different generation. He doesn't understand like what I'm going through, my experiences right now. But it's like that verse, like I need to memorize these, but it's like iron sharpens iron, a friend sharpens a friend.
That's a proverb.
So so I think it's good for us to be with like people who sharpen us, who make us better, who like push ourselves, like a gym partner, like you always want to lift more weight because the other one's doing more. And I think it's that bit of a competitive spirit, but also that like fellowship, that building with each other. It helps a lot more than you think than just doing it by your own. I mean, that's why churches are created. That's why there's fellowship, so we could push each other towards the Lord. But yeah, it's just and for a while I was having this
question. How many years in total have you all been in the ministry since you guys were young?
I want to say since I was maybe around, I was like 5 years old.
Wow.
But to tell
born and raised at church.
To tell you the truth, I didn't really take it seriously until like 2 or 3 years ago. To be honest, but it's again the influences, and I've been battling with this too, because like I do have some friends who are of this world, and maybe I do have like Christian friends, but not like children of God.
Yeah.
But with that, I've been struggling. But again, I should memorize these, but it's that we don't let the darkness corrupt us, but we are to be the light to shine in this world. And I think JP, you were talking to me about that too, where it's like we shouldn't leave them, but we should be the light for them, So
keep your posture, keep your character, and that itself will speak louder than words. And they'll be like, oh, hey, there's something different with Daniel, and they'll be intrigued to know what it is, and then you use that as a hook to spread the gospel to them.
And it's something really nice, like what you were saying, like congregating and everything. I think that right now, because there was a prophecy given last year that I've held really, really close to my heart, where the hermana that was giving the prophecy said that she saw the jóvenes como una fogata. And when you know.
Un altar encendida.
No, una fogata, like an actual like fogata.
Okay.
Yeah, like that. And what came to my mind was that you know how right now our logo is like the torch.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, we're all torches, but when we unite, we become this big fogata y estamos encendidos. So what I've been getting through that is that there's a verse in Romans where it says que a una sola voz en un mismo sentir podemos glorificar a Dios. But it's if we're in the same spirit and the same, you know, canto and everything. And I think that right now, you know, with everything that has been prophesized over, like this, and other jóvenes as well, like with the jovencitas, like we've been wanting more, like let's get together, let's study the word, you know, let's do this together. And all that just creates such a beautiful atmosphere so that when we go to the youth services or the Sunday services, estamos encendidos. Yeah.
I've been able to sense a very strong momentum building up with the young people.
Yeah. Amen.
And it's going to keep, you know, building and building until that revival that God has said will come. Recuérdense lo que el Señor nos ha prometido el ministerio, que seremos el centro de un gran avivamiento. Que no seremos de un gran avivamiento, no, el centro.
Yeah.
Like the main headquarters, the commanding station per se. And revivals, they tend to spread very quickly. But first, God wants to stir us up, incinerate us inside.
Yeah.
So that once we are, radiant, really radiant in God's light, that's going to scatter all over the place. Eso va a contagiar a muchos. Y sí he visto eso, ese momentum, ese mover que se está afianzando bien fuerte con la juventud.
Y pienso que viene a colación esto y a mi memoria lo que estabas comentando, Liza, porque el viernes Pastor habló de eso, de la unidad. Y eso realmente impactó en mi corazón porque cuando tú estabas hablando, Dani, yo recordé que una vez escuché que alguien dijo, sola puedo ir más rápido, pero juntos llegamos más lejos.
Te viene otra.
Y eso es la unidad.
Como juego, como un jugador
Sí.
individuo, ganamos juegos,
Sí.
pero en equipo ganamos campeonatos.
Sí.
Wow.
Straight fire.
Yeah.
Y eso es de lo que viene. Yo creo que viene la unidad que hemos estado viendo con los jóvenes en general. Más unidad para que vaya después viniendo el avivamiento.
And just like Daniel said, like iron sharpens iron, and there's also a version that says friends sharpen friends. So all this that we're doing, like, you know, we have each other's back and we're growing together.
Liz, you've been quiet.
Oh my God, honestly, I feel like everyone has pretty much said amazing things and points, and I just love listening to everyone, and especially the new members. I love to see their walk of life and their experiences, and it's very inspiring to me, and I just can't wait to see even more people come, or how you guys spread what you've learned to other people as well. So.
¿Alguien más? What about my friend here in the corner? Un comentario.
Yeah, Axel. Well, I'm excited too because I honestly don't really know you guys like as I should as a group, but it's amazing knowing how God like is moving in life individually. I remember you when we were small. I remember you a little bit, but same thing. I wouldn't like to go to church. I would say I would always be with the kids and other hermanos like that used to take care of me. They would tell me, "You used to be a troublemaker. You would always get And I remember they would hold me back to kind of talk to my parents because I was bad.
What? Axel, what?
The class, so I would escape. I would like literally escape.
And now that God has like involved in my life and guided me to where I'm at, I look back and it just it's like how can I say it?
There's just no words to explain, guys.
Yeah, it's just amazing to see what God can do in your life if you give Him the chance to. If you just open your heart and tell Him, "I'm yours. Do whatever you want with my life." It flows the way it needs to. Just get to where you need to be because of Him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just happy to know everyone's story.
Amazing.
That's what we like to do.
So what was Alex saying then? Wasn't it Liza? Or Daniel?
Oh yeah, he had a thought. Yeah.
Okay, go for it, Daniel.
Oh, you okay? I want to go back to where we're talking about unity. It's a really important thing, but there's a difference between having unity, but then also having unity with God. Because the people of this world can have unity. I mean, you see the ABC people, right? Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have unity with each other, but they don't have unity with God. It's I remember I was reading this one. I don't know if it was Genesis. It was talking about the Babylons, and they were all coming into agreement that they wanted to reject the teachings of God. They wanted to reject His ways, and they wanted to be their own gods. So because of their understanding with each other, that agreement, they ended up building a wall together. And I know it's written somewhere, but God Himself said it that when people come to an agreement, like there's nothing able to stop them. Like it will come to fruition. But you know the whole story that He messed up languages and then destroyed the tower. But it gave me that thought of how powerful it is just to have unity. But just imagine if we have unity with the Lord.
Yeah.
It is one thing when we have like fellowship, when we have like friendship within each other. But it's another thing when the Lord is in it. For something big to happen, talking within in the ministry, it has to be in agreement with you, your brother, and the Lord. And I don't know who said it, but a brother told me that for a revival to happen, that has to happen. You, your brother, and the Lord have to agree in order for dos o tres más su nombre ahí está. And I just have the thought of revival within the youth, revival within this generation, especially the times we're living. And it's good to have unity, but I don't know why, but in my heart I just want to make it clear that the unity should be within us, within the Lord. When I'm happy to see all this activity when we involve ourselves in all the activities, when we all come together, not just for the benefit of just having a fun time, but for us to seek the Lord, for us to again sharpen like iron. And I really like all this. This fellowship, but more importantly, the fellowship with the Lord. That's what matters most out of everything.
Talking about that, about unity and revival, recuerden de que cuando uno ve la historia de cómo Dios trabajó con su pueblo, most big movements or revivals that we have seen over time, they all start with small remnants, con remanentes bien pequeños. En este caso, the famous story, el libro famoso de Hechos capítulo 2 en el aposento alto. ¿Cuántos habían en total arriba esperando la promesa del Espíritu Santo? 120. 120 believers were at the top of the house, you could say, waiting for that promise, esperando por ese avivamiento. Entonces da a entender que para comenzar un mover o para ser parte de un lindo mover, de un kairos que diría yo. ¿Y qué es kairos? Un tiempo específico donde Dios visita a su pueblo. Para poder ser partícipe de algo así, solo se requiere disposición de uno. Señor, yo quiero ser parte de ese remanente, de ese grupo selectivo para poder impactar a millones y millones de personas de una generación a otra. Porque hasta la fecha todavía se predica, se habla de 120 personas, 120 people, that started a great revival, that till this very day, we preach about it, we teach it, lo vivimos y le damos y le damos la libertad al Espíritu Santo de Dios moverse. En otras palabras, ¿cuántos somos acá? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15, okay, with my kids included. ¿Qué quita que Dios no pueda hacer algo con los primeros 15 acá?
Yeah.
¿Qué quita que Dios no puede hacer algo hermoso con esos 15 jóvenes? I'm so young, by the way. Me siento
Yes, yes.
Que Dios no puede hacer algo grande en el sur de California. Liza, you said something very important. Southern California is a blue state, very liberal, very to the left. Pero si Dios nos tiene acá, es porque sabe de que puede ser algo grande con nosotros. Don't get me wrong, I'm not here to bash nobody. I know that there's been this California exit. Everybody's going to Florida or Texas.
Yeah.
I get it. No pun intended, I'm not disrespecting nobody, no estoy faltando respeto a nadie. Cada quien sabe lo que hace en su vida. Pues yo digo, si Dios nos trajo aquí, si Dios me trajo al sur de California, Él sabía muy bien las circunstancias, las cosas que se iban a mover en el sur de California, pero Dios nos llamó a nosotros, a ustedes, con su familia, para poder dejar una huella de fe, un testimonio grande de que Cristo Jesús también reina en este lugar, aquí en sur de California. You all remember what happened lately, right, with the elections, Proposition 1, la propuesta número 1, where now it's legal to kill your child once it comes out of the womb. It's legal. Abortion it's still a very controversial issue. But back then the talks were how many months is it valid, how many months is it viable, all these terminological words. Now even after the mom delivers, she still is given the option, todavía le da la opción si quiere deshacerse de su criatura o no. Entonces mi punto es esto, si Dios me tiene aquí en California, tal como los tiene a ustedes acá, es para poder hacerlo aquí.
Yeah.
No podemos dejar que las tinieblas nos bofeteen. Or go to another safe haven, to another place. No disrespect to Florida or Texas or red states. No disrespect to those states. Pero si estamos acá es porque Dios sabe que va a desarrollar un propósito grande con cada uno de nosotros.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to say something?
Es por eso que los tenemos de preparar. Isa has some.
He was ready for the second session.
Go ahead. Going back to the topic of Bible, I remember when I was growing up, I would always hear these hermanas y hermanos talking about how like the future generation it's getting such a big impact and how we're becoming united because at the end of the day we're all craving for the Word of God and we all want a deep relationship with Him. And now seeing like what's going on around the world, it's like right now that I'm older and maturing, I have that mentality where like it's clicked into my mind that we are the future generation. We are the people that can make an impact to all these kids and future generations that are coming like more and more and more. And now that people are going to start seeing that, they're going to be part of that revival that we're bringing, they're going to be part of that fire that we're actually going to bring. Because not only like even like it's such a small like group of people, we can still have an impact to like these people around you. So yeah, that's what I want to say.
Wow, he is expressive. That's good to say. Okay, that's all. Actually, we're going back. We finished up with Liz, right? Yeah. Or with our saxophone player. No, loud.
Daniel,
what's going on, Daniel? Que hable el tocayo, pues.
Fíjate que Daniel también me dio la idea a mí también. Like we need to read the Bible more. We need to get together more. We need to. Y por eso él fue una de las razones también de que estamos en J21 Harvest.
Bueno, como fue el causante, pues que diga.
So first, after hearing all of you guys, I know it's a blessing to hear what the Lord has done in your life. Each of you has a good story, you know. And I'm really glad you guys are here now. You know that the Lord has. I don't know if this is bigger. Like you guys, you know, I have also have gone through battles and and have changed a lot. But I guess a point that I would like to point out was in the verse that the apostle taught, showed today, which was in Timothy 2:3, that stood out was, and that from childhood you have known the sacred writings which are able to give you the wisdom that leads to salvation through faith, which is in Christ Jesus. So basically what stood out is that, just like you guys mentioned, that the parents' teaching is crucial, but I also think that, like it says here, the sacred writings, for me, I take it as the Bible, that it is a important foundation for all of us to continue to read. And when I read this verse, it just motivated me more to read the Bible, because no matter how many times I read it, like a lot of people say we're always gonna miss something, and in this case I missed that specific part that said, know the sacred writings which are able to give you the wisdom that leads to salvation through faith, which is in Christ Jesus. So it just blesses me to know, that this word is giving life every time we read it. And I don't know, I was blessed by it, but again, like you guys were saying about the parents, I thought of Proverbs 1:9 or 8 that says, my son, hear the instruction of your father, and do not forsake the law of your mother, for they will be a graceful ornament on your head and chains about your neck. So, as always, the person that wrote this was King Solomon, of course, and he was one of the wisest ones. So me reading this, and with what you guys have been saying about your guys' parents teaching you and keeping you on track, it leads me back to the same thing, that because of their teachings, because of their values obtained from the Word, that I am here now, and it is a blessing, to see that that the things of the world aren't in me to want to explore. I feel like the Lord has put in me to dislike and hate everything from the world, and to mostly focus on Him. So it just happened during, I would say after I got baptized in water, I started to have more discernment, and didn't notice a change in me, but it was happening within me. That my spirit was just alive, but I didn't even know that I had a spirit. So it was just, it was a blessing to see how the Lord just changed me, like with the snap of a finger.
Wow, Daniel, appreciate it. You mentioned something important. You said ornament, right? Que es guirnalda, creo que in Spanish. It's funny because that ornament is what they would put on top of their heads. For example, Caesar. People of high eminence of power, they will wear that. But what does that stand? It stands for identity.
Wow.
For lordship, eminence. And it's not to my surprise, no me sorprende que en ese proverbio que tocaste, creo que es proverbio que capítulo 1, que verso 8, right? That en los tiempos de hoy que estamos viviendo, ese versículo resalta aún más, porque estamos viviendo tiempos de una crisis de identidad, donde la juventud hoy en día ya ni saben cuál es su género. Pero esa guinarda, that ornament, it pretty much speaks loud to us that we must know what our identity is in Christ. Lo que somos en la sociedad también. Por eso, todo lo que lo estamos viendo ahora, las escrituras tienen una respuesta. You know, people say, well, es un libro de 6,000 años atrás. ¿Por qué tenemos que prestar atención a la antigüedad? Hear me out. Estás hablando de 6,000 años atrás, que estas ordenanzas ayudó a las civilizaciones y a las generaciones de ese tiempo. ¿Cómo no nos van a ayudar a nosotros en el tiempo moderno? Porque hay muchos jóvenes, personas que dicen, no, pero eso es antiguo, eso es ya obsoleto, eso es ya anticuado. ¿Cómo vas a rechazar principios morales que transcienden más de miles de años, que ayudaron a la gente de ese entonces. ¿Cómo no nos va a ayudar a nosotros ahora? Y ustedes están viendo los cambios radicales que están haciendo la sociedad. Amén. El predicador. So, going back, that ornament, esa guinalda se llama. Eso tipifica saber cuál es la identidad que tenemos. ¿Alguien más?
JP.
Oye, JP, casi se cut you off.
Pues lo que podemos hacer nosotros es sí escuchar la palabra, pero aplicarla en nuestra vida. Porque una cosa es escucharla y que salga del otro oído, pero otra cosa es practicarla, memorizarla, estudiarla y vivirla. Porque pues hay muchas iglesias que todos lo hablan o lo cantan, pero no viven esa misma vida afuera o bajándose de la... Pero es una gran responsabilidad, es un gran llamamiento. A veces digo, ¿de verdad quieres ser líder? Porque un día te va a pedir el Señor cuentas. ¿Hiciste esto? ¿Cantaste esto? ¿Hablaste a J21 de esto? Me va a pedir cuentas y a todos. Es un gran, hasta cuando sea padre, le enseñaste esto como lo que está hablando, le enseñaste esto a mi hijo o a mi hija, lo construiste en el camino que yo quería. Un día los va a preguntar el Señor de nuestros hijos, cómo le enseñaron, hasta los hijos espirituales. Nos va a pedir cuentas de todo. Y por eso les digo a los muchachos de J21, lean su Biblia, métanse, oren al Señor, no solo alaben aquí en la iglesia, alaben en sus casas, métanse en un lugar, en su closet, en un lugar secreto, busquen al Señor, llénense de ese aceite para que cuando ya estén llenos tráiganlo a la iglesia. Y eso inspira a los demás. Y después ellos van a ir a producir más aceite. Y los demás van a producir más aceite. ¿Y qué podemos hacer? Podemos empezar a ayunar, metiéndonos en la presencia, dando ofrenda, diezmo, leer nuestra Biblia, hablando con el Señor, aprender a amar lo que Él ama y aborrecer lo que Él aborrece. Ser más como Él y menos como nosotros es lo más importante. Porque los talentos son de Él y este cuerpo es rentado, como nuestro apóstol dice, es rentado. Este cuerpo no es de nosotros, los talentos no son de nosotros. Cuando la gente nos ve, que vea al Señor y no nosotros. Y fíjate, un testimonio que dijo Marcos Brunet, dijo que una vez en un concierto lleno de gente, un stadium, o no sé si, pero estaba lleno de gente, y el Señor le dijo, no quiero que vayas enfrente de todos y cantes, quiero que te quedes atrás.
Wow.
O sea, todo el concierto, Él se quedó atrás cantando sin nadie que lo vea, en vez de presentarse enfrente de todos. Porque venían a ver a Marcos o venían a ver al Señor. Y eso es lo que tenemos que practicar. Yo no busco la mirada de nadie, porque al último día yo voy a ir al cielo y Él va a ver todo lo que hice por Él.
¿Sabes lo que me llegó a mi mente hablando de los puntos que mencionaste? Tocaste sobre el aceite. Todos nosotros somos olivos que llevamos un aceite tan especial, y ustedes saben que el aceite también tipifica unciones, capacidades, habilidades. ¿Y qué es lo que el Señor quiere de nosotros? Es prensarnos, extraer el aceite de nosotros para darle gloria y honra a Él y ayudar a los que Dios manda en nuestras vidas. Pero viene la pregunta del millón. Si reconocemos que llevamos aceite, si conocemos que somos olivos para el Señor, la pregunta es, no para el grupo J21, sino para los que nos oyen. ¿Te has dejado prensar por el Señor? En otras palabras, we tend to talk the talk, but we're never going to walk the walk.
Yeah.
Porque todos decimos, Señor, úsame. Han dicho, Señor, úsame. Y el Señor ha dicho, te quiero usar, pero no te dejas prensar. Y a veces tenemos que dejarnos ser prensados por Dios. Shape and mold it. Yes, it hurts. Those twists and turns a veces nos incomoda. Pero Dios no lo hace para que uno esté sufriendo. Nos hace para hacernos más resistentes, fuertes. Para decir, oh, okay. For example, I use an example of Emily. Oh, okay, I gotta just twist a bit, shape and mold Emily a bit more para tenerla, para verla así como la pude visualizar desde el principio. Así tenemos que ser nosotros, dejarnos ser volteados, prensados, aunque nos va a incomodar a veces, aunque vamos a llorar un poco, etc. Pero Dios no lo hace para dejarnos estancados o al medio camino, lo hace para mejorarnos, so that we could be fine-tuned to how He has seen us before our existence in this world. So ahí está la pregunta para todos nosotros. Tenemos aceite, tenemos el don, la gracia, pero vamos a dejar el Señor prensarnos. Ahí está la clave.
Yo pienso que el Señor más está esperando que tú digas sí, para que Él te use. Y después deja que Él haga su parte. Vamos a tener que dejar ir cosas que los pesan, cosas que vienen del pasado, heridas del pasado, pero se tienen que sanar para poder ser usados.
This past Thursday, we actually had a discipleship with the whole Alabanza.
Okay.
And Andrea actually gave the word.
Okay.
And she talked about how us as sacerdotes, we're all part of the Alabanza here. We're also gardeners. And she talked, about the grapes, about the wine, but she also talked about the olives and the oils. And she said that the oil also represents our faith and our readiness as the alabanza.
Qué bonito.
And so that, and she also said that the more we are in God, the more value our oil is to God. So that, as a worshiper, as someone who ministra la alabanza de Dios, it spoke to me because cuando el aceite derrama, it goes everywhere. So it's not just us, también se derrama en el pueblo. Yeah. So, and I think that another point that JP has also been teaching us about is our secret place. Being prepared and, reading the word, worshiping at home, having that personal encounter with God. This unity, it's amazing, it's beautiful, but it only happens if it starts with you. It only happens if, okay, I'm reading the word, and when we get together, this and this and this and this, my mom, she also told me, because in August, when Hermana Claudia preached that youth service, I didn't know she was going to preach, but for a month, and I told Liz too, I was like, Mom, something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. And I was like that for the whole month. Something's gonna happen. And it was such a beautiful service. Yeah, it was last August. And I told Liz too, I was like, Liz, you better prepare yourself because something is gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. And it was a beautiful service. And I wanted more of that. And I became fixated on revival. But then my mom me dijo algo and I was just like, wow. She's like, you want a revival? But the revival has to start in you. And I was like, whoa. I was like, that's so right. Because how can there be a revival if we haven't had that avivamiento con Dios personally? So something that we've also been working in J21 is like JP says, reading the word by yourself, worshiping at home, pruning to get that oil. So that way, because Andrea also said that cuando estamos entregando nuestra ofrenda en el altar, también el pueblo recibe esa bendición. Not only are we giving an offering and being blessed as well, but the pueblo también, us as worshipers, us as alabanza members, everything that we're doing gets spread out. Just like Pastor Pablo was saying, when the avivamiento happens, it spreads like a wildfire. So that, yeah. It was just really interesting, the oil and yeah.
It correlates perfectly
Yeah.
well with our conversation.
Yeah.
Podemos ver que esta es una buena generación. Podemos ver que el Señor está haciendo algo en llamada final por los frutos de los padres de estos muchachos. Podemos ver que esos padres unieron atención a la palabra que está en la iglesia. Y en verdad, y también los que fuimos adoptados a la iglesia. Y Dios está haciendo algo poderoso, ya está empezando, ya empezó. Y el avivamiento creo que ya está empezando. Yo pienso que el avivamiento ya está empezando. Ahorita la palabra está muy buena, Pablo, está muy buena la palabra.
Filet mignon style.
Yeah.
New York steak.
Wagyu style.
Oh, Wagyu.
Y esta palabra sé que los va a ayudar en el futuro, para los últimos tiempos. Por eso es muy importante de venir todos los días a escuchar la palabra en llamada final todos los días. Fíjate que un pastor dijo, Jesús no murió nada más para que vengas a la iglesia los domingos. Y eso sí, es cierto. Y por favor, los que están escuchando, manden a sus hijos a la juventud cada tercer sábado del mes a las 3 p.m.
Well, this month hay una excepción.
Not this month, yeah.
Este mes va a ser el 24.
29.
Perdón.
Yeah.
29 de abril 2023 tenemos nuestro culto de jóvenes. Otra pregunta. ¿Cómo se sienten todos estar en el grupo J21?
Oh, amazing. Amazing, yes.
Me imagino que han habido buenas temporadas, así,
Yeah.
like a roller coaster every now and then. But it's made you all stronger, right?
Yes.
If I'm being honest,
You weren't from the beginning.
What's going on?
throughout my whole life, I never thought that God would put me in this position. Like, I never thought I'd get to this point to where I am now. So I want to say that I'm grateful, well, not just for you guys, but for God, for putting me in a group so I can unite more with Him, you know what I mean? But, yeah.
Todo su tiempo.
Welcome to the family. Bienvenido a la familia.
Yes.
I've been telling them that, you know how a family sticks together? Forgiveness.
Yeah.
Forgiveness, perdonándose. ¿Cuántas veces dice la Biblia que tenemos que perdonar? 70%. Y es duro para los grupos, se separan porque no saben perdonar. Familias se separan porque no saben perdonar. Y hay división en la iglesia porque no saben perdonar. Pero si aprendemos a perdonar, este grupo puede ser algo grande en los ojos del Señor.
Así es. Y sé que algunos de ustedes tuvieron la dicha de grabar last Saturday, right?
Yeah.
How was that experience?
Definitely nerve-wracking, but I mean, glory to God. I never, for myself personally, never expected to even be a part of like where I am now. Like that's all. I like to joke around and say with my friends that when I used to go to church as a regular attendee, I would look at Alabanza and be like, oh my God, they had to wake up so early to be there. That could never be me. Like, and now I'm the one waking up at 5 a.m. just to be there. So I mean, yeah, I just give glory to God, and it was an amazing experience, and I can't wait to see how it turns out.
Salió perfecto.
Yeah.
Va a estar mejor.
We're also recording original songs for J21.
Yeah.
Ahí está el talento, ahí está el don. Y hay que estrenar ese don para la gloria del Señor. Es funny because el viernes llegó, se acercó Elia.
Yeah.
Oh, let's wait for that to pass. Se acercó Elia conmigo and he said, bro, I'm nervous. I go, why? Oh, you know, this weekend, Saturday we're recording. And I go, Elia, you shouldn't be nervous. He goes, why? Well, si lo piensas bien, cada martes, cada viernes y cada domingo siempre los graban.
Yeah.
Queda grabado en YouTube. Y él me dice, oh yeah, you're right. Huh? Y como que se le quitó ya los nervios.
No, it was.
Yeah, if you think about it, I mean, no one's telling you that they're recording the service, but But I get the whole emphasis of new songs and you know the playlist. I get it.
Honestly, in the moment, you could just feel the anticipation of the pueblo as well. Like everyone was just waiting to receive from God, and you can really feel that. So I think that's what brought more pressure as well, to be able to be a vessel in the moment, not just for the recording, but also so people can receive, because they came from such far places, and we just wanted them to go back home filled with the Holy Spirit and be like, oh my gosh, I received something new. And not just to be there to be there.
Yeah, that was definitely one thing that David and Andrea like really stressed. Like, although, you know, we're working on these songs and we're doing this and there's going to be lights, we're recording, whatever, we don't want it to be a show. You know, this is an offering that we're preparing to give to God. Just like JP said, don't look at us, look at God. That they see God through us. But yeah, it was something like, wow. Yeah.
Increíble.
Yeah.
Taking it back to JP, anything else you want to finalize?
Los muchachos que estén escuchando esto, respeten a sus padres, amen a sus padres. Los que no tienen padres, el Señor Jesucristo es el Padre. Y ustedes son adoptados por Él, búsquenlo a Él. Búsquenlo a Él, así como a mí me encontró. Aunque yo nací en una casa cristiana, no estaba al 100 en la iglesia, pero después me encontró. Y así también va a encontrar a los que están perdidos. Dice la palabra que mis hijos reconocen mi voz y la siguen. Eso es algo que me ha ayudado mucho. Y yo sé que todos los que están sentados aquí aman al Señor y darían su vida por el Señor. Y si hay algo en ellos que el Señor no le agraden, sin duda lo van a quitar, porque aman al Señor.
Amen. Amen. Any other things before we wrap it up, guys? Final thoughts? Well, before we close our conversation, let me conduct the prayer. Déjame conducir una oración ya para culminar nuestra conversación. Let's unite. Padre Dios, en esta hora, en este momento, gracias por estar con nosotros. Gracias por esta conversación. Gracias por todo lo que se expresó con el grupo J21, Señor. Sabemos que hay promesas pendientes, hay cumplimientos que vendrán pronto a las vidas de este grupo, Señor. Y bendigo cada familia, a cada uno aquí que representa su familia, a cada ser querido, Señor. Que podamos siempre estar en el apogeo de tu gloria y con el cumplimiento que tú tienes para nosotros. Bendigo a este grupo de jóvenes, bendigo sus méritos, sus alcances, todo lo que tú ya tienes para ellos, Señor. Que tus ángeles los protegen a ellos en todo momento, en todo lugar, Señor. También en particular quiero orar por Daniel and Alex, Father. Si tú has dicho que ellos serán ministros tuyos, si tú has dicho que Alex será un pastor y que Daniel tendrá un ministerio profético, Señor, hoy te vengo a recordarles, Señor, de esa promesa, de ese llamamiento que tú has dicho con ellos, Padre. Tu palabra dice llamar las cosas que no son como que si fueran, y llamamos en existencia esos llamamientos sobre sus vidas, Señor. Y también sobre el llamamiento de todos los demás que están aquí reunidos en esta hora, Señor. Bendigo sus vidas, sus finanzas, sus estudios, su salud, Señor, sus trabajos, sus carreras. Que sean profesionales en su campo y que te glorifiquen a ti. Que sean profesionales en este mundo representando tu reino eterno en las vidas de muchos, Señor. Bendigo sus vidas y derrama sabiduría y bendición y guianza sobre ellos, Padre. Que tú puedas llevar a estos jóvenes de gloria en gloria a un nivel mayor en sus vidas, Padre. También guarda nuestra entrada y nuestra salida, Padre. Los bendigo en esta hora, en el nombre de Jesús. Amén y amén.